What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We've got one more day of running backs to hit. Still got quite a few to get through, but this is the part of the work that may end up being the most rewarding because I think there's a very good chance that one of the guys we talk about today will be a Seahawk. There's a need on this roster for a fourth running back, and that fourth running back is very likely going to come from this pool of players. So don't be surprised if you hear one of these guys get their name called with a Seahawks pick attached to it in late April. So we're going to get started here with somebody who a lot of you guys are probably familiar with because if you're a Seahawks fan, you might be a Huskies fan. And if you're a Huskies fan, you know all about Dillon Johnson. Dillon Johnson of UW, played at Mississippi State for a year before. Going to be 23 when the season starts. 6 feet flat, 217 pounds, 30-inch arms, 9 3/8 inch hands. Combine performance was very, very forgettable. 4.68 40, 1.62 10-yard split, so no speed, no acceleration, and no explosiveness either. 31.5-inch vert, 9-foot 9-inch broad. It's not good. So the testing didn't show up. And the big boards have mostly reflected that. There are a couple that have him in like the 5th round. Walter Football really likes him for some reason. They have him in the 4th. But you've got 5th, 6th, 7th round. The database currently has him in the 5th or 6th, which I think could be pretty reasonable because his production last year for the Washington Huskies was really good. 1,200 rushing yards. And remember, he didn't start the year as the starting running back. He was kind of an afterthought to start the season, and as the year went on, he got it together. So this doesn't even represent a full season as a starter, really. 16 touchdowns, so found the end zone a lot. Also 24 catches. And when he was at Mississippi State, he wasn't nearly the runner, but he was also frequently used as a receiver. 48 catches, and he actually had, not as many receiving yards as rushing yards, but it wasn't that far off either. So showed a couple different elements to his game here, and that's going to be appealing to somebody. And if you watched him play at UW, you'll have a pretty good idea of what makes him appealing. He runs with power, he runs with toughness, he's really good at just pounding it up in A gap and B gap, getting between the tackles, and launching himself forward for tough yards in a pile. He's a short yardage weapon, somebody you can put in around the goal line, and he's going to go get that touchdown. Did that a lot at UW. Good running back vision and decision making, understands how to wait for the hole to develop, keep himself moving, waiting, and then he just goes when it's time to go. So his decision making is good. He's productive as a receiver out of the backfield, and he's somebody that you can put a big workload on, and he'll keep producing. So he's a volume back. Now, I don't know if he'll be a volume back at the NFL level because realistically, he doesn't bring enough other things to the table here. He's not a very good athlete. Takes him forever to accelerate up to his top speed. So this is not a guy who's going to be busting long touchdown runs in the NFL. He's just too slow, and it takes him too long to get up to his top speed. Doesn't have the explosive agility to really put the moves on in the open field. Doesn't really have the ability to make guys miss. And just overall, there's just not the agility that you're looking for from a true running back in the NFL. He has a ways to go in pass protection as well. He's not really good picking up the blitz, which hurts his value as a third down back, which is too bad because he had his over 70 catches over the last 2 seasons. So you would think that that would make you valuable in that area, but not if he cannot pick up a blitz. So the awful testing scores definitely put a little bit of it definitely hurt his odds of being able to make it in the NFL. I don't think he brings enough to the table to make it. He can maybe do some power back stuff a little bit, but realistically, I don't think that it's enough. Like, he needed to test at least a little better than this, I think. So I'm going to hold off until UDFA. The one mitigating factor some people have suggested, maybe he was hurt for the combine, and he was playing through injury at the combine, and that's why his performance was so bad. Maybe so. There may be something there. But hard to know. Next guy, we have Jawhar Jordan of Louisville. 25 years old when the season starts. One of these older rookies for sure. 9'5.5", 193 pounds, so a little bit on the smaller side 30 and an eighth arms, 8.5 hands. Ran an okay 40 with a pretty good 10-yard split. Big boards, 6th round, UDFA, 7th round area. The aggregate currently has him hanging around the 6th. So draftable, but not by much. Good production last year, 1,100 rush yards, 6.2 yards a carry, 13 touchdowns, and pretty decent running receiving production. 21 catches, 250 yards. So relatively productive player for Louisville. Even though he's small, he plays with a real tenacity that mitigates the small size. He runs with pop and power that he doesn't really look like he has when you take a look at his physical profile. So that helps offset the size a little bit. He's a really good threat out of the backfield, catching passes. He's a really good pass catcher out of the backfield, and he's somebody who can take a short little pass and turn it into a big play, turn it into a big gainer. His ability to cut and go is impressive. His ability to just plant his foot and head upfield is very, very notable. He's very decisive with his cuts. He's got a lot of open field moves that he can whip out to evade tacklers. And this, again, bigger deal than usual, might be a good weapon on kick returns. Might be able to do some kick return stuff. He's still concerningly small, I would say. I know that there's some cool stuff going on with Jordan in terms of his ferocity, his nature. He's still small, and I don't know how much of that stuff is going to work when he gets to the NFL. He's not going to outrun defenders frequently because he just doesn't have that great a top speed. Before he gets up to top speed, not that it's all that great anyway, but his ability to make people miss before building up speed is not so great. Like, there are running backs out there who can get the ball and make guys miss in the backfield before they've even gotten going. This is not one of those guys. And it feels like everything is just a little bit slow with him. His moving toward the hole, finding the hole, going to the hole, going through the hole, everything just happens a little bit too slowly. So, kind of forgettable. I think that he'll be a good third down back because he can catch the ball, and he's also a pretty decent blocker, although I do think that he needs to improve a little bit as a blocker. I do think he'll be a viable third down back. The rest, I'm not so sure. Like, he's 5'9.5", not even 195 pounds. I don't know if he'll be able to play with the power that he showed in Louisville at times. So, I'll go 6th round. I like him well enough. He's all right. Nothing stands out to a super strong degree, but he's pretty decent. So I will go in the 6th round, maybe 7th with Jordan, but basically right around there is fine. One more guy for this video, Isaiah Davis. South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. And we've already talked about some offensive linemen from South Dakota State this year. So it would make sense that they have a running back running behind them that would also get some attention. 22 years old when the season starts, 6 foot flat, 218 pounds, 31 and an eighth arms, 10 and a quarter hands. The testing was pretty run-of-the-mill, just kind of average everywhere. His bench press was good, but everything else was just kind of like, okay, he's got okay top speed, okay acceleration, okay explosiveness. Big boards, 6th round. They basically put him around the 6th or 7th round. The aggregate has him in the 6th approximately. So, paints a fairly clear picture here of a guy who will probably get drafted, but gonna be a low-level drafted guy. A ton of production the last couple years for the Jackrabbits. 1,578 rush yards last year. The year before that, 1,451. So that's over 3,000 rushing yards over the last 2 years on over 6 yards a carry, 33 rushing touchdowns, and 44 catches for an additional, like, 370 receiving yards. So the production is off the charts. You won't find very many running backs that produced more than this. He's got a lot of power. He runs with power and strength. He can really bulldoze defenses. Should be able to do third down back stuff as well because he's a good pass catcher and also a pretty good blocker. He possesses elusiveness in the open field. He's not just a power back. He can make guys miss in the open field. He understands how to wait for blockers. He wait for blocking to develop, wait for things to come together before he goes. He understands the patience that the position requires. I do think that he tries to dance a little too much. He's trying to make every run an 80-yard run when you just don't need to do that sometimes. He is a little bit of a dancer, though. South Dakota State, it's easier to get away with that. In the NFL, you're probably not going to be able to. So, gotta rein that in a little bit. I think that even though he is a good receiver out of the backfield, he does occasionally drop a pass, and he's got to work on his hands. He doesn't have the decisiveness you look for, I feel like. His ability to just plant his foot and cut and go is suboptimal. And he doesn't really have the speed for outside zone runs. He doesn't have the ability to get wide, get around the defense, and really just put a lot of pressure on opposing defenses in that way. So there are some things to like and some things to not like so much. But overall, I think this guy's going to be a good power runner in the NFL. I don't know if he'll be able to do too much else. The third down stuff is, the third down stuff may be viable, but I like this guy more as a power back personally. I don't know if he'll be able to get to achieve his potential at the NFL level because he is a little bit of a, there are certainly bigger backs out there. There are certainly better backs out there, more athletic, more agile backs out there. But I'll go 5th round value. You're going to have to coach him up a little bit. Some assembly required, like I said here. But I would go with somewhere around the 5th round. I like him. I think he'll be good on power. I think he'll be a good third down back. So, yeah, that's my evaluation of Isaiah Davis. Let me know what you guys think of these three. I will be getting out of here. More videos coming later today. More running backs. Go Hawks. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, and there's more coming.